we'll start with the blood urea estimation. Before we discuss about blood urea estimation itself, let's talk about the biochemistry of urea. What urea is. I think everybody knows where urea comes from, but let's have an overview. This is cytoplasm and this is our mitochondria. So this is the procedure of generation of the urea. Whatever the ammonia that is liberated from deamination process of proteins or amino acid, that gets converted into carbamyl phosphate, gets converted to citrulline, comes out of the mitochondria, gets converted into arginosuccinate, then converts into arginine, again gets converted into ornithine and goes back inside the mitochondria. But in here, from arginine to ornithine, arginase will convert the component or liberate the urea. So actually urea is a end product of protein metabolism. So this is how urea is generated in our body. Wherever your deamination process is happening inside the body, inside any cell, urea will be generated. We are talking about the NPN, non-protein nitrogenous substances. These are the compounds that has nitrogen, but they are not a protein. And these are major substances. Urea is among them. Urea, creatinine, and uric acid. Plus, there are some minor substances as well: ammonia, uric acid, decan. Likewise, the purpose is here is that they are normally excreted by the kidney. Means urea gets excreted by the kidney normally. But if you have a kidney dysfunction, then their level will increase into the plasma. So their measurement of their level helps us identify the kidney dysfunction, and that is why we utilize them as a kidney function test. Most of the time we utilize the urea and creatinine for a kidney function. Blood urea, major nitrogenous end product of protein as well as amino acid and catabolism. Most of the time it is produced by liver and excreted by the kidney, almost 90 to 95%. And the value is around 15 to 40 milligram per dl for all of the problem with the urea level is that it is directly affected by the protein intake as well as liver function and kidney function. So if you have any problem or you have a high protein intake, then your urea will be increased than the normal value. But because it serves as a very good purpose of screening, we normally utilize along with the creatinine for a protein related metabolism function estimation as well. Now there is a mention of BUN, blood urea nitrogen. This component normally if you are going to go into the other countries like United States, they normally do not identify as a blood urea, they estimate the BUN. So can be expressed as a nitrogen content as well. If you are going to see that molecular weight of urea is 60 and the nitrogen present in that urea, the molecular weight is 28. In a mean, urea is around 2.14 into blood urea nitrogen. So we can measure the urea and just calculate the BUN value, that is urea upon 2.14. So depending, you can calculate if you want to go for the urea if you have the BUN value, and you can calculate the BUN value if you have the urea value. Now talk about the renal physiology. I think everybody knows that there is a filtration, reabsorption, secretion as well as conservation part comes in. 4 stages are there: filtration, reabsorption, secretion and excretion. So this is just an overview. What happens? Initial stage is Bowman's capsule. You have the filtration part. Green arrows suggest the reabsorption, pink arrows suggest the secretion, and then blue arrow suggests the excretion. At the proximal tubule, there is some amount of secretion as well as reabsorption. The loop of Henle maximum is the reabsorption. Whatever the extra content is filtered out. If you just know the renal physiology, almost 99% of blood is filtered out, and then almost 99% is coming back into the distal tubule. Here also there is some minor amount of reabsorption as well as secretion occurring. That ultimately very concentrated component or excretory product will come out from the kidney at the end, and everything will go back. So that's where glomerular filtration rate comes into the discussion. Normally, if you see, renal blood flow means that blood that passes through the glomeruli is around 200 ml per minute, and filtration rate for this Bowman's capsule is around 120 to 125 ml per minute. So per day, almost 170 to 180 liters blood is filtered. Now we only have 4-5 liter of blood total. So on an average, maximum 1.5 liter out of this filtration, 1.5 liter is excreted as a urine. So you can see the relation, more than 99% is reabsorbed back. Only very bad components are excreted through the urine. So very high level of concentration goes on, and that's why GFR measurement is very much necessary. For normal young adults, it is around 120 to 130 ml per minute of 1.70 meter square is our filtration rate. So this is just an idea. If we are going to utilize different components like inulin, glucose, urea or diodrast, inulin will come as it is. Glucose, for a normal blood glucose level, everything will be reabsorbed, nothing will come out. Urea will come very less. Diodrast will come exaggerated. That's where clearance test come into the effect. It's a measurement of GFR. We can have an exogenous as well as endogenous component. Like exogenous inulin, the ideal component, or 51 chromium EDTA, or endogenous creatinine, urea or retinol binding proteins can be utilized for a clearance test. Now talking about clearance. What is clearance? It's a very tricky term. It's the volume of blood or plasma. We'll take only word, that is blood. Completely cleared of a substance. You choose one particular substance per unit time. We can utilize the minute over here. So volume, if you are going to define it, it is tricky. Volume of blood or plasma completely cleared of a substance per unit time, and expressed as a milliliter of plasma per minute. So this is just filtration process. That's why we are utilizing milliliter. So actually clearance is milligram of substance excreted per minute upon milligram of substance per ml of plasma. So C into U into V, C is equal to U into V upon P. U is your concentration of substance in the urine. This is coming out. V is the ml of urine excreted per unit per minute, and P is the concentration of that same substance which is coming out into the urine, P substance into the plasma. That will be the denominator. This is how we estimate the clearance. For urea, because it is partially reabsorbed, the value is less than the GFR, and it is little bit less sensitive, so normally not utilized. And there are two types: maximum urea clearance and standard urea clearance. When your urine flow is more than 2 ml per minute, then you calculate the maximum urea clearance, that is around 75, which is still lower than the GFR. And another is standard urea clearance, where your normal flow is less than 2 ml per minute. That is normally seen in the patients of kidney dysfunction. Here V will be in the under root, and value is around 54 ml per minute. So now talking about the chronic kidney disease, why we need to estimate the clearance and in a mean estimate the GFR values. If you do not have or minimal damage is there, we can grade this chronic kidney disease, and accordingly GFR will be different for each and every level or grade. There may be mild damage, moderately severe, or there may be kidney failure, and accordingly your GFR will get lower over time depending on the severity. And that's why clearance tests are more important compared to any other tests. So now talking about the actual part, estimation of blood urea. Now there are various methods, enzymatic as well as non-enzymatic methods. Enzymatic methods includes urease nesularization or Barthelot reaction, and non-enzymatic methods include DAM method. We are going to utilize the DAM method here for today's practical. So what is the principle? Diacetyl monoxide, when you heat it with urea in acidic medium, it converts into hydroxylamine and diacetyl. Now this diacetyl condenses with urea and gives the pink color. Here thiosemic carbazide is utilized as a catalyst and ferric chloride is utilized to intensify the color. Readings are taken as 520 nanometer. This is just a reaction. DAM, you have the diacetyl. This condenses with the urea and you generate the diazine, that is a yellowish compound, and combined with the thiosemic carbazide in presence of ferric chloride, it gives us the pink color complex. So depending on the value of urea, how much level of urea is there in your sample, you generate the higher intensity pink color complex. So what we require is DAM reagent, which includes DAM thiosemic carbazide as well as acidic environment. Urea standard, which is 60 milligram per dl, and plus acid reagent, either ferric chloride in orthophosphoric reagent for intensification of the color. So this is the procedure. We take 3 test tube, blank, standard and taste. We utilize working urea reagent 5 ml and then urea standard in standard, sample in the taste and distill water into the blank. Mix it properly and keep it into the boiling water bath for 12 minutes. Then cool it under the tap water and read at the 520 nanometer. Now let's see the procedure. This is a working urea reagent. We have 3 test tube, blank, standard and taste. Now we are going to take 5 ml in each and every test tube. We have the dispenser, so it is every time going to take 5 ml. Make sure you do not push dispenser too hard, otherwise it will be problematic. Now we are going to take the 50 microliter micropipette. We'll take the distilled water into the blank. Then urea standard. Make sure you use different tips for each and every solution into the standard test tube. And last is taste. That will take into the taste component. Okay, now mix it. Now we are going to take it to the water bath for 10 to 12 minutes. Keep it into the boiling water bath. Now cool it under the running tap water for 4 to 5 minutes and then we are going to measure the value. We take the cuvettes, fresh clean cuvette. First we are going to measure the blank value. Fill up the cuvette and put it into the colorimeter. Check if it is 0. If it is 0, then go ahead, otherwise set to 0. Then take the standard. measure the OD and note it down. Then last we are going to take the test. Measure and note down the optical density. This completes our procedure. So now going ahead, note down the values into the observation table and do the calculation. We already have set the blank OD to 0, so no need to calculate it, and find out the calculation. Normal range is 15 to 40. If you want to calculate the BUN, you can calculate based on the value of urea. You can write down the result, and accordingly whatever the result you are getting, you can write down your interpretation, whether it is higher or lower than the required value. So there are two states where your level of serum urea is very much increased. Underlying conditions can be pre-renal, renal, or post-renal. Diarrhea, vomiting, shock, burns, or protein catabolism comes under the pre-renal conditions. Glomerulonephritis or the conditions relating to the kidney are coming into the renal conditions, and post-renal prostate, tumors, or blockage of the urinary flow, that considered as a post-renal condition for the hyperuremia. And hyperuremia means lower level of serum urea, that can be due to liver disease, which lowers down the urea generation itself, protein malnutrition, and in late pregnancy or starvation, there may be low level of urea. So this completes our discussion regarding the urea. And